Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm Justin Franson here with Dr. Billy DeMoss, the owner of DeMoss Chiropractic, Costa Mesa, California, the legendary founder of Cow Jam, one of the biggest health and global sustainable conferences in the country here at Segerstrom Theater in Orange County, California. Dr. DeMoss is not only an impressive chiropractor, but also an athlete. He is a snowboarder, a surfer. You'll find him out at Newport all the time. And then also a musician. He can jam when they do in between every speaker at Cal Jam. It's like one of the most impressive conferences because these guys get up and jam on stage and you feel like you're at a Led Zeppelin concert. It's that fantastic. So, Dr. Billy, thank you so much for joining us on Go Beyond.
I'm excited to be here, bro.
Yeah, so we are talking about going beyond recovery and recovering beyond. And this is so great because this guy is an ambassador of it. He's such an athlete himself. So let's talk about sports recovery and what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of recovering from sports?
Well, I mean, for me, recovery, the body's a self-healing organism, so everything that you can do to promote that healing process in the body is going to accelerate and accentuate that process. So, you know, it always boils down to the 5 factors of health, and then I've even added a couple extra factors. One is you got to eat right, in my opinion, and then whatever your injury is, like I had some broken ribs, there's not a lot you can do for broken ribs other than just rest it and let it heal. But whatever the injury is, whether it's a low back or neck, or there's specific exercises and tractioning things people can do to accentuate the healing process. Eating right, eating a low inflammatory diet, eating diets that also may be high in things like bone broth, which will help with collagen, soft tissue healing, are big as far as healing is concerned. I'm also big on getting proper rest and sleep, which is something that I think I've finally mastered. In fact, I think I sleep too much now, but it's good. I don't think you can ever sleep too much. Also, just, you know, keeping a positive mindset. But the one that most people neglect as far as healing is concerned is chiropractic. And chiropractic's amazing at not only lowering inflammatory responses in the body, but it's also really good about taking somebody out of sympathetic and putting them more into parasympathetic, is where the healing happens. So all of that combined with other things I'm really big on are like detoxification, make sure that the body's as clean as possible so it can heal better, eating the right foods that are super clean. And then also I'm big on grounding. I think it's super important. I mean, you can notice animals when they're sick or injured that they'll use the planet as a way to suck up the vibration, the 7.83 hertz that the planet gives off, and all that. You do all that stuff, in whatever specific nutrition you may want to do on top of that is going to be really important to maximize the healing process. But you got to open the nerve channels and increase the healing potential of the body by making sure that the brain is efficiently communicating to the rest of the body, and the body also needs to communicate. And when there's all that working together in concert and in harmony, you're going to get a faster healing response.
That's awesome. I mean, let's just dive into a little chiropractic and how it can only help with injuries, but from recovering from sports as well. Talk a little bit about chiropractic care and just dive into that.
Well, I mean, I look at chiropractic as something that people only do when they're hurt or injured. I mean, I look at chiropractic like I go to the dentist. I went to the dentist twice this week, not because I have problems, because I'm trying to, increase the lifespan of my teeth, and the same thing's true of your spine. So the true value of what chiropractic does is it removes interference and decreases the amount of static that you have in your nervous system. And when you have a more efficient, better communication between the brain and the body and the body and the brain, you're going to have a higher level of health. So it's not like I'm treating an injury or I'm trying to treat cancer or I'm working on your low back pain. I'm working at making sure that your body is dialed in at its best potential, so you're expressing 100% of your genetic potential. And what chiropractic does, it not only does that by changing postural issues and global alignment issues, but also the big thing that most people don't understand is chiropractic really restores mobility segments. So yeah, anytime you've had an injury, whether it's a knee or shoulder or especially spinal injuries, you're going to get scar tissue that builds up and adhesions that build up that starts to limit the range of motion. So it's important as soon as possible after an injury to start a series of chiropractic adjustments to not only help reestablish normal alignment, but also accentuate and restore that range of motion that many people suffer after an injury. And that when we have normal range of motion, that decreases the amount of static in the brain and the nervous system and allows the body to better communicate with itself.
Definitely. I can 100% attest to that. Playing basketball, I sprained an ankle one time on the court. There was a chiro there. He adjusted me. And then my healing potential was exponentially expedited from just getting that adjustment right away. So that's fantastic. I mean, across the board, you talk to all the best sports chiros out there, they're going to really say that. Now let's go into preparation for recovery. Like, how do you prepare to recover? Like, preparing for your sport in advance so you recover faster. Talk a little bit on that.
Well, I mean, preparing for recovery has to do with, the mindset, obviously. You've got to be positive about it. I mean, I know when I broke my ribs and separated my shoulder and broke my clavicle and I got hit snowboarding, it wasn't my fault. Part of the whole thing is you can get into like some negative self-talk. So I really think part of healing is just staying positive. So what I try to do is reflect the point that, I had broken ribs, but I tried to convince myself that at least I didn't break my back. And, and then I look at people like Bethany Hamilton, who, I'm sniveling about a separated shoulder, but she doesn't have an arm anymore. So you can put everything in perspective in life. And for me, I know, especially with working with patients in my practice, is that, you see people that come in that you're going to have a challenge with just because they have such a negative mindset and they're programmed to kind of like rerun the negative movie all the time. And I try to really get those people to start to change their thought processes to create more of a healing environment. Because when you've got, I think a majority of disease in a lot of people, and I just did a talk on cancer last night, I think it has to do with people's repetitive negative self-talk and negative emotions that contribute to just it just really what it does is it disrupts the normal chemistry in the body and it doesn't promote healing. Again, then, preparatory, you've got to, I'm really big on eating healthy and nutrition and providing the body with the raw materials that it needs to actually create a healing process. Most of the, food that people eat is really just poison disguised as food, and there's no nutrition value, there's no nutritional value to it, and it has no life to it. So, to really get in a preparatory phase, and then, you should initiate the chiropractic as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the more that scar tissue and adhesions and then those cycles set up, whether they're in the emotional components of it or the neurological components with the restricted range of motion and the accentuated pain. You just got to be positive, clean up the chemistry, and then initiate corrective care as soon as possible.
Definitely. Now let's go into nutrition a little bit as far as intake wise, but then also supplementation. We have super good stuff. Keith Morey's products as one of our sponsors. So we're big believers in supplementing because the food's so poor. Talk a little bit about that for us.
I'm not huge on supplementation. I do it myself. I just did some nootropics, which are herbs that really help open up my brain a little bit. And I'm doing a podcast with somebody from Neurohacker in a few minutes. So I'm big on really augmenting what I do, but most of my nutrition comes from juicing and using a Vitamix on really, I try to primarily stick to mostly vegetables, low glycemic vegetables, and I've even got to a point now, I just read the book Plant Paradox by Gundry. I've even limited the nightshades, and I'm just trying it. I'm not saying everybody needs to do it, but I just want to see how it worked for me, especially with, I really work on cognition and brain function, so anything I can do to limit any of that. And again, I'm also big on the whole cannabis movement. Again, cannabis has been vilified, so I think one of the biggest superfoods that's way underutilized as far as healthcare is concerned is using like hemp oils or CBD oils. I didn't mean to get off on this tangent, but to me, it's way better than fish oil. If you're not killing a fish, you're actually killing just a plant, which goes through cycles anyways, and it's at the end of a cycle, usually when it's harvested. But it's going to be, CBDs are going to lower any type of inflammation in the body, but at the same time, it's going to promote. It's neuroprotective. It creates neurogenesis in the body. It's anxiolytic, which means it decreases anxiety. It helps me sleep amazing. And also it's anti-cancer, and it prevents metastasis. It prevents the vascularization of tumors. So I'm sold on it. And again, I used to look at it. I mean, I've been a fan of cannabis since I was, in my teenage years, but I used to see people using it for medical, and I'm thinking, well, why don't you guys just get high? Why do you have to use it as a crutch to explain to the world? And then I started doing the research, and I was blown away about not only the amount of research, but the amount of conditions that, cannabis can help. So I'm big on probiotics because most people's guts flora is destroyed not only from drinking shit water, but also from antibiotics and taking medications and, sodas. I'm big on people doing vitamin D because, well, we won't get into that concept right now, but the people are getting a lot less vitamin D because they're getting a lot of sunlight. And then I think you should take some type of multiple. And then, if you've got specific things, like whether I have people take collagen and put it in their shakes. Bone broth's good. So that's kind of like what I do in it. And then I eat super, super, super clean all the time.
So we're talking to an athlete that's a medical professional. And real quick, if I can ask you a personal question as far as the weight-wise, like as far as how you've shifted and grown and matured as far as your intake, and then how it's affected your weight and then your energy from that. Because I've cleaned up my intake, and I've been gluten-free for 25 years, but I'm actually sustaining about the same weight, probably higher or lower body fat than I was before, with a lot more energy when I'm eating properly.
No, I mean, your energy is totally dependent on what you eat, in my opinion. And what I like to use, I use my own body as a lab. That's why I wanted to try the plant paradox diet myself before I'm going to recommend it to other people. I do the bulletproof coffee, which I'm big on. And I mean, I've never really had weight issues except for when I used to actually drink alcohol, which I don't do anymore because that was not my friend. So, I mean, I weigh 150 consistently right now, and I think for my, body frame, that's a good weight for me. But I mean, the thing for me is I'm going to be 60 next year, and still, really active snowboarding and surfing, and a lot of people are surprised by my age. Maybe I don't look young today, but I usually do when I shave. But it's just, it's you age, proportional to how well you take care of yourself, and for me, still surfing and snowboarding and being as active I am in the community and teaching and all the stuff that I do, you've got to be. I like to look at myself as I am a professional athlete as far as a chiropractor is concerned. I mean, and that's what I understand, that people that don't take care of themselves, you should walk the talk. You should live it to lead it. You should, you should be a reflection of. People should want to emulate you. I mean, if you're going to be their health practitioner and they're somebody that's going to help them resurrect their lives, and and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying, I think somebody said that to me last night. Why do you need to detox if you? I mean, we live in a toxic world, so there's a lot of things you need to do to. And again, I'm not perfect. I mean, I had some cornbread last night. I'm going to admit it, and the cornbread was probably made with corn with friggin' sprayed with glyphosate. So it's just, you're going to get in situations when you're traveling or you're at somebody's house where you can't be that perfect. And, I just feel if you want to really be the true professional you are or live at your highest level, then you need to do things to maintain that. And to me, it's not that hard. I mean, to me, eating right is no harder than it's no harder than eating shit, And when you eat shit and you feel like shit, it's really accentuates why I do what I do, because your energy is going to be dependent on the energy and the food that you eat and the amount of enzymes and vitamins and nutrients that are in. That's why I use, juicing and Vitamixes to really compress my nutrition. But it's not like I'm taking supplements. There's life in that food that you can never replace in a tablet or a capsule. So that's why I really try to get people to eat healthy. And yeah, if you want to augment it with nutrition like I do it, but that's not what I consider the mainstay of my diet. I want to use that as like cheap insurance on the back end. I want to get most of my energy from the food, and it's harder and harder, like you said, because the soil's been depleted. Most of the food people eat isn't organic. And even the organic stuff we buy, sometimes I wonder if that's even organic. You never know, but the proof's in the pudding, in my opinion. I mean, you could look at somebody and you can see whether that person has energy. And 33 years of practice, I mean, I brag about this all the time, but it's the truth. I've never missed one day ever from work from being sick. Now, when I had broken ribs, it's hard to adjust, so that's a different story. But I don't get sick, and I don't fall prey to all the bullshit, flu shots. I mean, I've never taken an antibiotic. I mean, I live a lifestyle that really works for me, and it would work for almost anybody as long as they follow through with what they need to do. And it isn't that hard. To me, being sick's a lot harder than being healthy. So, I mean, to me, there's no other way. I mean, and I like to be high energy. I like to feel vibrant. I like my brain to work good. So I do everything I can to make sure to maximize everything that I can do to contribute towards that clarity and that homeostasis in my body.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it from Dr. Billy DeMoss. His shirt says hustle. It's Cow Jam Hustle. That's exactly what he does. He doesn't stop going. I can attest to that, knowing him.
No, I mean, it might be perceived as a bad word, but the thing is, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be done on this planet. And, I'm big on, human health potential, but I'm also big on movements to change, the vaccine agendas and the geoengineering and the destruction of our planet. I mean, for me, I'm going to be 60, and I could just go surfing and say screw it all. But I really, I work, my practice is 50% pediatrics. I work with a lot of kids, and I'm concerned about the planet that we're going to hand over to them. So, I mean, I hustle around the planet. I'm literally on a different stage in a different state or different country every weekend. And I mean, the reason I'm driven to do that, because I look at, and I love life, and I love the fact that God gave me the most amazing life. And I just want that for the children. I want them to be able to go surfing in the Maldives without the oceans being, destroyed through Fukushima or plastic. And again, we need to really start to look at the direction the planet's going. So I hustle because I'm out to I hustle to save the world.
I love it. I mean, what a giant heart and amazing soul. So, and a renowned speaker. You guys, check out Cow Jam. January 26th, 7th, 8th, right? End of January here in Orange County, California. It's a massive event. It's probably,
and for the doctors, they get 18 hours of CE.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing event. There's no better event on the planet, bar none. I mean,
there's not. I mean, I go to these things all the time, and it's by far my favorite. And these guys it's a jam fest and such a love fest. It's so fun. And the speakers are fantastic. The products they offer are unbelievable. You guys have to go check it out. But Dr. Billy, thank you so much for sharing your insights on just how to really recover and take care of your body and your soul and the planet. It's just wisdom beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Let's go get some waves.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Perfect.